If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as follow me and subscribe to me on all my other social media platforms. What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and it is here, the finale. Christmas Eve is here. It's almost Christmas, people. Yay! And we are concluding the 12 Days of Metal Holiday Collaboration Series here on Christmas Eve. Before we get started, hope you are all having a great holiday week, as I know I am, because doing this series as well as the top 50 albums of 2022, it's been a lot of fun. And I can't wait to get into 2023 and talk about more music, so it's going to be fantastic. But, quick recap of everything we have talked about for the 12 days of metal heading into the finale. So each day started back on the 13th, we talked where there was myself and other YouTubers that love metal coming on here talking about a favorite album of ours from a particular genre of metal. Beginning with classic, traditional heavy metal, then to doom metal, speed metal, thrash metal, black metal, death metal, progressive metal, power metal, metalcore, gothic metal, and then yesterday it was grindcore. Now we're going to talk about another one that's kind of more on the mainstream side, and that is, of course, alternative metal. And to put it at simplest, it's a fusion of alternative rock and heavy metal. Basically, bands that are kind of being a little more grab bag in their approach, with influences coming in from all sorts of places. Funk, hip-hop even, a little bit of industrial coming in, or even avant-garde metal, which some bands within alternative metal you could consider avant-garde metal, especially the album and band I'm going to be talking about, and that is, of course, Faith No More's Angel Dust. After all, I feel like I couldn't pick any other band to talk about for alternative metal than Faith No More, because after all, they were the pioneers, along with bands like Helmet and Primus, kind of inventing what we know as alternative metal. But the interesting thing about Faith No More, especially on this album, you could argue not only is it alternative metal, but it's also like avant-garde metal, even progressive metal too, because there's so much experimentation and diversity in the songwriting on here, where you get into tracks like Midlife Crisis, which feels like a great radio hit, but then you get into songs like Malpractice, which are borderline death metal. Like, the vocals are a little more growly, and like the riffs are just filled with chunk and brutality, and even like big screams that kind of feel like death metal, but little quirky melodies thrown into the mix. Crack Hitler, Jizz Lobber, Midnight Cowboy, Smaller and Smaller, Kindergarten, just odd, bizarre, crazy, over-the-top stuff on here. Like Jim Martin's guitar, after all, this was the last album with Jim Martin on guitars, and he delivers some heavy fucking riffs. Billy Gould on the bass, delivering some killer bass work. Mike Borden, the drummer, laying down some killer beats. Rowdy Bottom on the keyboards, delivering some cool atmosphere. And then, of course, Mike Patton, just going absolutely insane with the vocal delivery on this album. Going from, low spoken word to, high screams and even high notes of melody, some growls thrown in here. Little hints of hip-hop rapping going on here and there on occasion. But, I mean, just, for me, one of the pinnacle albums to Faith No More, next to The Real Thing, which I could have went with The Real Thing, but I wanted to go with Angel Dust just because of how much heavier and more bizarre it is compared to The Real Thing. And, yeah, that was that was my perspective of the 12 Days of Metal, but we're not quite done yet. We still got some other people to give out an album. Let's hear what they have to say.
Alternative metal, that's another subgenre that annoys me, because what exactly defines alternative metal? I know a lot of people say Alice in Chains, but to me, Alice in Chains is a heavy metal band. They're heavily influenced by Black Sabbath. All right, so if we're alternative metal, if it's something that goes against the grain and is relatively different, If we're going to go by that definition, then yeah, my answer is pretty easy and obvious. It is Angel Dust's Faith No More by Angel Dust. That is my definitive alternative metal record. I know everybody prior to that knew Faith No More for more of their funk metal elements, very heavy, very bass heavy and such. This album is the one where Patton starts to take over. This is the one where Mike Patton's influence really starts to overcome the band's sound. I know this is Jim Martin's last record. He really wasn't in agreement with the direction that the band was heading, but this is the turning point for Faith No More, and it's just it's a phenomenal, chaotic masterpiece, and led the way for many other great records from Faith No More as well. So yeah, that's my favorite alternative metal record.
Well, guys, we're at the very end of the series, and happy Christmas Eve, and have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, guys. I hope you guys are going to be enjoying spending time with your families and your loved ones and your friends around this time of the year. And if you're not, hope you have a wonderful day, because, it's around the holiday season. We should all spend some time with some people, no matter what. It's a friend, a family. This time of the year, we should also spend some time together. But regardless, we are on day number 12 and the last day of the 12 days of metal, which, like I said, I've been enjoying watching all these videos. I've been enjoying recording my side of the video. And like I said, this was a brilliant idea from Levi to do it. And hopefully he could do this another time, maybe next year, maybe around Halloween time. I would really like to do something like that. But regardless, we're on day number 12. And the last subgenre we're going to be talking about today is going to be alternative metal. Now, alternative metal can go a very diverse way, because there's a lot of bands that you might not think are alternative metal, but in the alternative spectrum. Like, you might have never guessed that a band like freaking Benjamin is considered an alternative metal, more of an alternative rock band, if I say so myself. Or a band like Disturbed, who are mostly known for their new metal sound. At the time, they have some really alternative metal elements. But to me, when it came to alternative metal, there was one band that automatically came up to mind, and that is Tool. Now, Tool is mostly associated with progressive metal as well, which I could have done that with my prog metal pick when I did my prog metal video, but I decided to save that for this video, because Tool is one of those bands, one of those weird bands that has so many weird things in the music that you never thought could actually work. And the album that I actually chose to talk about in the alternative metal video is, of course, the one, the only, Lateralis, which was released around May of 2001, if I remember correctly. And first, I gotta say, Tool is one of those bands that, when it comes to physical media, takes the time and effort to make it count. Because look at it from the album cover, from the sleeve, just look at it. You get this weird spectrum of it. Like, you don't get any lyrics. But the thing that Tool I really enjoy, I mean, from all of their albums, is that they take the time to put the effort into the album and give us a really magical experience. Because look at this. What other band do you know puts that much time and effort into their album covers, into their sleeves, into their, packaging, and create something so awesome that every time I look at the album, I'm like, my God, I'm actually happy that I was able to snatch this album and have it in my collection. Because Tool, like I said before, even Tool has taken some time to release albums like they did with Fear Inoculum. They took them close to 15 years, but those 15 years were totally worth of releasing a monster of an album when it comes to Fear Inoculum. With Lateralis, to me, in my personal opinion, is probably one of their best. I mean, you can say anything about any Tool album. Every Tool album is so different and unique from the next one. But Lateralis, to me, was the one that kind of showed a lot of fans into Tool. I mean, it got me more into Tool, to be honest. When a song like Schism, which is probably my favorite song in the album, and probably my favorite, Tool song in general, next to like maybe Sober from Undertow, but with the song Schism, I like the fact that it has the bass and the lyrics. I mean, the lyrics about Tool are so unique that they come up with some lyrics that you never thought could actually make sense. That's why Tool is always a fascinating band, that everything from the instrumentation, from the lyrics, to the way that the songs are structured, that you think might go from one place and takes you to a whole different place you never thought of. That's the thing that Tool really captivates people. But like I said, every single song is amazing. Of course, Lateralis, the title track, probably in a lot of people regard as probably their best song to date. being a close to maybe 9 to 10 minute track. Again, 2001, at this time was the wrong time when longer songs were beginning to be a thing, if I remember correctly. But while you go more into the album, Parabola, great, dual songs. The Grudge, Martina, The Patient, Fade Die Kai, Tired, Reflection, Disposition. Every single song in this album is pure fucking gold. Like I said, Tool take the time and dedication to give the fans something extra when it comes to their physical media and their lyrics. And I mean, to the point that there was a point in time that Tool wouldn't release an album on like Spotify and all that because they wanted you to go and get the physical media, a vinyl, a CD, or cassette, and actually enjoy the music for what it is. And to the point that it took them until Fear Inoculum to actually have their songs on Spotify, which is kind of weird to think that one of the biggest alternative bands / prog metal bands in current history wouldn't do that. I mean, something Metallica's playbook back when the Napster days, but regardless, Two Lateralis, one of the best alternative metal albums in modern day history. And like I said before, I could have gone easily with, could have put it in the prog metal video, but I chose it for this episode, for this day. But you couldn't go with any two albums. You could have gone with the latest one, 10,000 Days. You could have gone with Undertow. You couldn't go with an Animal, another album that, you look at the packaging, fucking outstanding. But for me, I chose Lateralis by Tool.
What's up, guys? They're just joshing here, and we have reached the final day of the 12 Days of Metal. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to Thrash Maniac 99. Levi, thanks for having me on for this, man. It was a lot of fun making this list, and I got to check out some bands that I haven't really, or genres rather, that I haven't really delved into too much. So I'll have to definitely do more listening around to speed metal, gothic metal, power metal, especially to get more into those genres. But the final day is for alternative metal. Now, alternative metal is kind of one of those gray area genres, like nu metal, where it's kind of at the listener's discretion to kind of see whether or not a certain band is considered alternative metal. It's kind of a weird blanket term sometimes, but I went with Korn Untouchables. This is my favorite Korn album. Korn is definitely one of the top bands in nu metal and alternative metal. And yeah, this album was a very special album to me, especially back in senior year of high school, about 3 years ago now, where I was just having a rough time with life and everything and school and shit. And I listened to this album every day and really helped me out, man, especially the song Alone I Break and songs like those off this album. My other favorite songs on this album are Here to Stay, obviously. Hollow Life is really good. Thoughtless, of course. Bottled Up Inside, Embrace. I'm Hiding is really good. No One's There is an amazing song. And, what other ones? Yeah, I mean, pretty much every song on this album is great. The only one I really don't care for is Make Believe and Wake Up Hate. But other than that, every song on this album is just amazing. The vocals are really good. The riffs are very just meaty and very chunky. This album is a bit overproduced, but it was Korn's first album of the new millennium, and there were new production things going on around that time, and Korn was like one of the first bands to really have more like modern digital production, which kind of leads this album to have sort of weird production here and there, but that's forgivable in my opinion because this album is just incredible. And you get Fieldy's signature bass on this album, and yeah, this album is just incredible. Definitely one of my favorite albums of all time. Lots of great hooks, lots of just really relatable lyrics and all that. And yeah, there you have it, guys. That is my 12 Days of Metal picks. Again, thank you to Thrash Maniac 99 Levi for having me a part of this. This was awesome. Hails, guys.
What's going on, guys? Boss6 here, back to another video, and today I'm here to do the final installment of the 12 Days of Metal, and boy oh boy, we're rounding up this special event with a genre that I have loved ever since I found it, and that of course is alternative metal. Now, alternative metal to me is mainstream, if you think about it, if you really think about it, simple song structure, the 3 S's of metal. And you could have gone with a lot of metal bands, but the one band I ultimately went with is Slipknot. One of my favorite bands of all time, and growing up, this was my favorite metal band of all time. And if you guys see my retrospective, again, I don't think they have a bad album in their entire discography. I love their self-titled debut in 1999. Iowa from 2001, the darkest album of the band's entire career. You have All Hope Is Gone, which is my least favorite, but I still think it's good. Playing for the Gray Chapter. It was a dark time in the band's discography because we lost Paul Gray and Joey Jordison was out of the band. We Are Not Your Kind, I thought that was a phenomenal album. But this album, this past year, I thought was their best one since the album I'm going to be talking about here. What is my favorite album in the band's entire discography? Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses from 2004. I think this album is kind of their black album in some ways, in terms of a lot of mainstream hits that are still being played till this day, and the deep cuts are some of the band's best songs. You have the classic Duality, Before I Forget. You have The Bliss or Exist, The Nameless, and so many other great tracks. But also the deep cuts are really, really, really good. Like the bonus tracks like Scream, Don't Get Close, Welcome, 3-Nell, even Prelude 3.1, which is by default the band's best opening track. And you also have songs like Vermilion Part 2, and Circle, which are really, really, really good. But the best track, in my opinion, is Pulse of the Maggots. This song is a full-on Slayer song, especially considering how aggressive it is, and especially the solos, which this band isn't really known for solos, but man, when they put on solos, it is so awesome. Like, this is a Slayer song, but the band have masks on, and there's a lot more percussion going on. That's literally what that song is. How did I get into this album? High school. That's literally all I have to say. I did listen to some radio hits on the radio, but I just kept going back to this album, and whenever I would go to school, I would just be blaring this on my phone or on my computer. And I don't care if the other classmates heard it. I didn't care. I just thought it was a great band. I know a lot of people say, oh, well, there's just a lot of bang-a-doo-ga-doo and, all that other crap. Who cares? It's art. It's music. Deal with it. Now, how did I connect to this album? For you 90s kids or you 90s guys, your guys' 90s band was Pantera. Slipknot was like the Pantera of my generation in terms of, if you want to be pissed off and be a rebel, this is the band for you. And this album really was like the rebel land of my generation, wherein we ain't gonna take any crap from anyone. We're just gonna slap you in the face, take your wallet, and probably take your dog as well. And we're gonna flip everyone off, but we don't care. And just like that. Like, Slipknot was like the Pantera of the 90s to a lot of 90s people. So that's what it means to me, and it really helped me get through high school. It really, really, really did, because all the emotions I was going through, all the anger, the rage, but also the softer and calm moments too. And, generosity and, so many other great things, and curiosity and all the osities in the world, I guess you could say. But, yeah, Slipknot Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses, one of my favorite metal albums of all time. So, thank you guys for watching this video. I really, guys, hope you enjoyed this little series on Thrash Maniac 99's YouTube channel, because I certainly had a blast doing this. So, thank you guys for watching this. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. What is your favorite alternative metal album? Let me know. Tap the little bell for more notifications. Join the herd. Happy holidays, everyone. Peace out.
Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the 12 Days of Metal. Hope you guys enjoyed the following albums that we've talked about on this episode, and I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas indeed. Horns high. See you guys in the new year.